Please, Dr. Johnson, help my husband. He's all we have. His blood sugar was through the roof. He is in a diabetes-induced coma because of his dangerously high blood sugar. Let's pray he wakes up from this. And there's something else, madam. We will need to amputate his leg to get his blood sugar under control. That's about the best we can do for him right now. You should continue praying, madam. You see, it's hard to believe that was me, Tunde, just 3 years ago. See, type 2 diabetes has tortured me, left me devastated, and terrorized my family. Diabetes made me a slave to several medications and emptied my bank account. It pushed me into a deadly diabetic coma for 2 days. A coma not the doctors, my family, or anyone thought I would ever wake up from. And when I did, they told me I would have my legs amputated in the next few weeks. But by the grace of God, my case never got to needing amputation. As my leg and my life were saved by what happened next, I would always thank God forever for this miracle. Even though diabetes almost sent me to an early grave, what happened next completely changed the course of my life. I'm only here to tell you the story because I was lucky to survive. I reversed my type 2 diabetes, and you too can. After my short incident with type 2 diabetes induced coma, I went on to discover the true cause of type 2 diabetes, and I promise you, it's not what you think. Forget what they told you when they say diabetes is caused by your genetics or family history. Your age, your weight, lack of exercise or eating, or too much sugar. The truth, according to top universities and medical institutes in the world, is that diabetes is caused by one tiny group of small protein derivatives in our body that makes it impossible for the body to absorb sugar normally. Now take a look at this. This protein derivative causes the toxic fat cells to stick to your sugar absorbing cells, making it difficult for them to absorb sugar for effective body functions. I know this sounds a little complicated, but just stay with me for the next few minutes of this short video because I'm going to reveal exactly how to target the root cause of type 2 diabetes with nothing but only a bunch of natural shrubs nature has given us. I will expose the clever trap the big powers in the diabetes industry have set up to hide this information and trick you, me, and over 15 million other diabetics in Nigeria to keep taking their medications for the rest of our lives. And I'm also going to share the exact combination of these natural shrubs that helped me reverse my type 2 diabetes, lose almost 40 pounds of ugly fat around my belly, thighs and arms, and amaze my friends and family. Anybody can use this method to reverse their type 2 diabetes. No matter if you're 40, 60, 70, or even 80 years of age, man or woman. It doesn't matter if you ever had diabetes or if you've had diabetes for 10 years or only 10 weeks. I guarantee you that you can safely use this method to completely reverse your type 2 diabetes and start living your best life again. All of this, I know, sounds like a lot of promises that you might have heard before, but you should hear from people who have used what I'm going to share with you to reverse their type 2 diabetes too. Mrs. Salam Adegboyeka sent me an email and said, "Your video has made a remarkable difference in my life. My blood sugar level is now under 120. I have more energy than ever and I have been able to finally lose the weight and keep it up for good. Now I'm able to eat all I want without fears of spiking my blood sugar or putting unnecessary pressure on my family." Mr. Danladi also chipped in with his testimonial where he said, "Tunde, my blood sugar dropped from 8.9 to 6.0 incredibly fast. Frequent urination stopped to 2 to 3 times a day. My sexual life has improved greatly and I'm super confident. This transformed my life and saved me lots of money on medicines." 63-year-old Mr. Martins watched the first version of this video, implemented and said, I used to suffer from serious burning feelings in my legs, especially at night. My doc said it's neuropathy. Used several medications without any difference. I noticed a great difference following what you shared. In the very first month, my blood sugar has also dropped from 8.3 to 5.6. A police officer, Corporal Edward, also wrote back to me and said, "This totally shocked me, honestly. My blood sugar level is now 7.2 from 8.2. Frequent urination has also stopped, and my performance with my wife has greatly improved." I was honestly very skeptical to try this method at first, but facing a life or death situation left me with no choice but to try it out. And now I'm completely free from diabetes, and I've started rebuilding my life again. I now have the energy to play with my grandchildren. The tingling in my hands and feet have all disappeared, and most of all, I would never have to take all of these dangerous medications ever again. I'm also going to share a simple test that shows that you may be closer to a diabetic coma like the one I had. You see, we've been brainwashed by the big diabetes industry to think we will be fine once we take our diabetes medication. Nobody thinks their condition could lead to an amputation, drop into a diabetic coma like I did, or go blind forever. But that's what diabetes does to people like us. Doctors won't tell you the truth about how dangerous diabetes can be because they don't want to give us a lot of worries. But it still doesn't change the fact that diabetes is a big killer disease. Did you know that 1 in every 6 diabetic patients falls into a deadly coma like I did? And did you know that 1 in 4 diabetics eventually have their legs amputated? What about blindness? Type 2 diabetes accounts for about 4 in every 10 cases of blindness in adults. More of us fall victims to the conspiracy of the big diabetes industry each day. You see, diabetes can lead to several other life-threatening conditions like stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, and even memory failure known as dementia, where you forget everything about who you are and your family members. My discovery revealed much worse than my doctor has ever told me about diabetes, and I'll share all of them with you in the next few minutes. Now, I feel I should tell you a bit more about myself. My name is Tunde Adelye. I'm 63 years old. I have 3 grown-up children who have since moved out. The first 2 have started their own families, and my last child just finished NYSC. My problem with type 2 diabetes started in my early 50s. I started noticing some unusual symptoms. I suddenly developed this uncontrollable craving for soft drinks, snacks, and other sweet foods, I would often feel very thirsty and unable to focus at work. I thought it was because of stress at work, but I was caught off guard when my doctor's test said otherwise. I was diagnosed as diabetic with a blood sugar level of 208. Since I knew almost nothing about the disease, I trusted I was in good hands with my doctor. He quickly gave me a long list of medications, which includes the popular metformin doctors recommend. He wrote me a list of foods to avoid to regulate my erratic blood sugar. He told me the drugs would help me manage the disease and continue living normally. But he was completely wrong. Little did I know that would mark the beginning of a decade-long struggle with diabetes. My sugar level became more erratic. The tingling in my legs got worse. I craved sweet food uncontrollably. I'm embarrassed to admit it. I found it hard to have sex with my wife. I continued to pack on more and more pounds of fat. In fact, blood pressure would go up, and the nerve pains wouldn't go easy on me either. There was a time he upgraded my medication to metformin glyburide, but this only came with another set of problems such as a bloating, headache, tiredness, and muscle aches. I was on this unending roller coaster of troubles until life smacked me hard in the face. I collapsed in the bathroom one Sunday morning while preparing for church. The loud bang I made echoed through the house, and that was the last thing I remembered. The next thing I remembered was waking up on a hospital bed. covered in a white sheet with a tiny torch shining light into my eyes, and my head with blood-drenched plaster. I saw my wife and children gathered around me with teary eyes. I couldn't even believe what had happened to me. My leg amputation was scheduled for 16 weeks, and there was nothing I could do about it, according to my doctor. Not even insulin would save me this time around. My blood sugar was at a dangerous 496 when I was brought in. I got home thinking how miserable my life would become with one of my legs chopped off. I would be tied to a wheelchair for the rest of my life. My wife would have to bath me, clothe me, and do everything for me. When my grandchildren come around, they would meet their grandpa getting rolled about in a wheelchair, and I would lose my freedom totally. I would never be able to support my family financially again because there was no way I would be able to work. This is not how I plan to live out the rest of my days. That was the darkest moment of my life. I'm not even going to deny that. But then, I don't know how it happened. I stopped feeling sorry for myself and decided to take matters into my own hands. If there was a way anywhere to reverse type 2 diabetes, I would look for it while I still have my 2 legs. And I would get my hands on it, even if it means selling my 3 cars, spending all my savings, and maybe even getting a loan. My wife tried to convince me that it was too late and we should just give up. But I was just too stubborn to listen to what she or anyone else was saying. If I only had a few weeks before I lose one leg, I might as well spend all of those precious weeks looking for a solution. This solution doesn't even have to be something my doctor agrees with. I realized it was completely stupid to stick with his suggestion forever. His advice brought me in contact with a diabetic coma, which I luckily survived. Now I was faced with an amputation coming up in the next 4 months. I was never going down without a fight. I got to work like a madman and utilized all of the weeks off work that I got at my workplace. I spent